Welcome to Real Estate Exposed, helping people in San Diego buy, sell, and refinance their biggest investment, delivering you timely truths, exposing important issues, and helping you get into the right home. Here are your hosts, real estate expert Daniel Beer, top-ranked professional by sales volume at one of San Diego's largest brokerages, and his mortgage partner, Todd with over $2 billion in funded loans.
What's up? What's up? We are back here on Real Estate Exposed, News Radio 600 KOGO, and we are totally perplexed, dumbfounded by some of the mashugana topics that are being discussed out there and that people are raising hell over. You're listening to Daniel Beer, Keller Williams Realty,
Todd, HomeStreet Bank. And it's a wonderful Sunday, Dan, and I can't wait to hear about the mashugana stuff that people are talking about right now.
There is plenty of it, but
there is.
The one thing I can't help but just throw out there as we just open up the show here, just to get on to real estate before we get off of real estate.
Okay.
What you're sharing with me regarding these jumbo loans.
Yes.
Jumbo loans under 3% rate, right? So interest rates under 3%. Todd's sharing with me. Todd's at HomeStreet Bank. These guys are these guys are really awesome, and there's a reason that we refer our business to them.
5 deals this month, baby.
Well, 3% interest on a jumbo loan, and they can do it apparently under 3% interest, and apparently they're doing it with as little as 15% down, so that's just really another game-changing product. They have all these great creative products over there at HomeStreet, Todd and his partner Taisha, and that's the reason we refer people. If you're thinking about refinancing or purchasing right now, specifically, listen, you really need to either be purchasing a home that you're going to stay in right now over the course of the next 7 to 9 years, and I'll share with you why over the course of this show, or you need to be staying put and refinancing. Okay, you need to be doing one of the two. If you're thinking about selling 3 years from now, you might
rethink that plan.
You definitely want to rethink that plan. We'll share more detail on why here, but the market is entering a shift. These things happen. They've happened always. They always will. And we are entering the very early stages of the next market cycle. You want to make a commitment right now. Okay, right now is the time to refinance your property and stay where you are. That's what I'm doing, by the way. I'm not selling.
Which is what I just did. I mean, it's unbelievable where rates are across the board besides the jumbo product. I mean, people should be, if they're going to stay in their house, if you even did a loan 3 months ago, you should be picking up the phone, either calling me or calling somebody else and getting yourself refinanced. I would definitely be doing that right now.
Or if you are going to be selling your home, say a year from now, 2 years from now, you actually want to push that up. You want to push that up to as soon as your family can comfortably go through that, because the market is going to enter into its new cycle. But what's interesting is that despite the fact that you don't want to own your home here for the next 2 to 3 years, if that's the only period of time you're owning it for.
Right.
And again, to be clear, I'm actually not selling, but I'm keeping mine, right? I have a 7-9 year plan with mine.
Right.
Interestingly, there's also a buying opportunity, a huge buying opportunity.
Do you have a plan with everything, Dan?
I do have plans with everything, Todd.
I know. That's what I like about
God
you.
laughs at a few of them.
Right.
But no, you need to have a plan in place, because what's really interesting is that you have this purchasing opportunity right now as well, especially for your primary residence. Mm-hmm. And the reason why, and frankly, even for long-term rental property.
Even investment properties right now.
Especially if you're keeping it in the long term.
Right. Because rates are still low and you can cash flow on those properties.
Exactly. So even if we see a 3%, 5%, even a 10% temporary
normal
dip
shift
in the cycle,
right,
the rate that you're locking in on your investment property or on your primary residence, the rate you're locking in today versus what you're probably locking in 2 or 3 years from now, there's a much greater benefit to the lower rate versus the temporary dip.
Correct.
Okay, so the only thing you don't want to do is if you're thinking, you're a seller 2-3 years from now, you're really the one who your ears need to perk up and you need to call either us, and we can give you a number in a moment, or you need to call somebody and put a plan in place, because you might be working right into the softest part of that cycle and not be able to buy into the best rates. So you could lose twice, as opposed to people today that can take advantage of both of those things.
Exactly.
Number to call and we can go through it with you.
Don't forget, too, because if you have a primary residence with rates so low, you could actually refinance, take cash out of your house because you probably have equity in your home, and you could use that to then buy an investment property. So take advantage of both.
Let's get a written plan in place for you. And number here, you can reach Todd or Taisha over at HomeStreet Bank. You can reach the Daniel Beer Group. That's me. You can reach us at 800-676-2420, 800-676-2420. So
let's talk about the craziness that's happening in the world, Dan. I mean, there's, this week there was a shooting on the UCLA campus. That's a little crazy.
That's a little bit close to home, man. I'm telling you,
that's really close.
San Bernardino is close to home, but there's just something about L.A. It's a place I've spent more time in than San Bernardino.
Correct.
I've, attended a good, nice, big, prestigious university. UCLA is one as well. There's no reason I might not have been there, or my children might not have been there, or for all I know, family, family friends of ours, kids being there.
I grew up right by the camp. I grew up in L.A. and I lived, as college years, my first 2 years, I lived right by the UCLA campus. It's pretty scary.
So what do you do here? What do you do with, what does this implicate? What does this mean in terms of gun control? What does it mean in terms of just who has access to these guns? Is America at a point of no return where if we now ban guns at this point, only some, it's just too late because there's so many of them out there. We are the heaviest armored country in the world.
Yep.
What do you see, Todd?
I
know it's complicated, but
it's super complicated.
What's your take?
I don't see gun control anytime soon. I see that, I think California is probably going to get stronger and stricter on their gun, even more strict than they are now. But depending upon who wins in November, you got Trump being backed by the NRA right now, and if he wins in November, you could see looser laws. I don't really get it. It goes back to America's, the Constitution, our right to bear arms. And I'm a gun owner, so I can't tell you that, being a gun owner, I have it for home protection. I have it, across the board. So, I just think that guns are getting into the wrong hands, and I don't know how you prevent that. I don't know, what's the secret pill or the secret solution on that. That to me is just crazy. What's for sure, something has to be done. I don't. Are you a gun owner? I'm not, and not because I'm opposed to being one. I actually am interested in being one. Funny enough, just last night I was thinking, what if something happened in my house and would I run over to my son's room? It's right. You grab a butcher knife.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm definitely married to somebody who's vehemently opposed, just completely opposed.
Right.
Having said that, her dad was, in the Air Force and fought in wars, and so who knows? It's definitely just a really lose topic.
Got it.
Is just my feeling. It's a lose topic. But what's really scary though is just the fabric of, America is slowly changing to where even this attack here at UCLA, we made mention of it. We noticed it when it happened. But, man, wasn't our reaction just so different, say, 10 years ago, 20 years ago? Can you remember Columbine?
Yes.
Columbine, forget about it. The world stopped.
Yes.
The world stopped.
We're becoming more numb to these things. That's the problem. We're becoming way more numb, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's a bad thing.
Oh, it's a bad thing.
It's definitely a bad thing.
It's a bad thing. It means that we are getting used to these types of headlines, and it's a scary thing.
Horrible.
But listen, you're listening to Real Estate Exposed, Daniel Beer and Todd Pianin. And before we head into break, we do want to give you another chance to connect with us on any real estate related topics. Plus, we haven't done a giveaway in a while, so we're going to do one today.
We're going to do a giveaway? I'm excited for giveaways.
Todd's surprised by So we haven't done one in a while. Okay, we haven't done a giveaway in a while. It's time we do, but this one requires our personal time and investment. So because of that, first five listeners that call in and request a room by room analysis, you will get one. Now, what's a room by room? Well, listen, if you're thinking about selling in the next 12 months, most people out there, they just go out and get the comps and a CMA and, any agent straight out of wholesale real estate school can give you that, right? Everybody's always looking at the same thing, and that's why they get such average results. What you need to do, and you really can't afford not to have done, is a room-by-room analysis, okay? Not only do you need an equity analysis, forget about a CMA like everybody's going to do for you. You need an equity analysis, but most specifically, in the preparation stage, you need a room-by-room. And that is a room-by-room walkthrough to get every inch of your home prepared for sale. And we're going to do the 5 of those, no charge whatsoever, of course. We're just going to come out and do them for you. So number to connect with Todd or I is 800-676-2420. And if, by the way, you're keeping your home and not selling, then remember, you need to be refinancing. So call 800-676-2420. All right, we're going to talk about some monkey business coming up next. What's up? We are back here. Real Estate Exposed on this beautiful Sunday morning here on KOGO 600. We're going to talk monkey business. What on earth is going on? And Todd, I don't even know where you fall on this argument here, on this discussion. But what on earth is going on when you have thousands or possibly hundreds of thousands, I don't know if there are even millions possibly, of outraged people around the world upset that we saved a child's life, that the zookeepers, I should say, at the Cincinnati Zoo,
right,
saved a child's life, a 3-year-old's life who fell into the gorilla exhibit.
Yep.
And I mean, when I first saw the story, I was like, "Oh my God, it's amazing!" You know, I was amazed that they saved this kid.
Right.
But
I was
then,
amazed the kid survived the fall, to be honest with you.
Yeah, just even that. But
Right.
then the story gets just clouded with PETA and all their cronies arguing about this gorilla's life. Because if you don't know, the gorilla had to be taken out. Okay, a 3-year-old fell into the gorilla exhibit at the Cincinnati Zoo. A gorilla, a huge gorilla.
Right. He was like 17 years old.
You know, when
massive
started dragging the kid around and so on, and eventually the gorilla had to be taken out, which no doubt is unfortunate, no doubt is tragic. But my God, we are talking about a human life versus a gorilla's life. And to me, this is just like all those people that, you know, they'll do just about anything to save a dog, and then they go and do everything that you wish human beings wouldn't do.
Right. Well, my position on this is, a lot of celebrities are coming out. It's kind of getting a little cuckoo, in my opinion. I mean, I agree with you, Dan. I mean, I look at it as a 3-year-old. We both have young children. So if our child fell into the gorilla cage, first off, our wives would not allow that to happen. But, you know, if our child fell into it, I would hope that the zookeepers would take that gorilla out and take him down. I mean, I don't understand these. I mean, I don't understand all these groups in this outrage about, you know, maybe they could have tranquilized the gorilla. I don't know what their choices were. But let's just be honest here and just say, think about this. If your daughter or son fell into this cage, would you really want this gorilla to still be around? I mean, dragging the kid around?
Yeah, so some people had the logical thought, and frankly, it makes a lot of sense here at first, right? The logical thought of, well, why didn't they just tranquilize the gorilla?
Right.
Okay, why didn't they just tranquilize him? Well, that sounds actually like the best course of action to me also.
Agreed.
Until you hear the experts at the zoo say that tranquilizing the gorilla, especially as agitated as he already was,
wouldn't happen right away.
Would possibly they said literally a 10 to 15 minute process in which he would actually possibly get even more violent because of the agitation, right? Because he just got shot by a dart.
Right.
And therefore endangering the child further. So once you hear the animal experts say that,
right,
how do you possibly continue to argue the point? Unless you actually fancy yourself a gorilla expert more so than they do. And my God, you know what?
It's not a gorilla expert, Dan. It's just an animal lover, right? I mean, people out there in the world, they don't realize until they have a child, I'm sorry to say this, until they have a child, how important that child is to you, and you'll do anything to protect that child. So in my opinion, I think the zookeepers did a really good thing. They saved a 3-year-old. That could have been your 3-year-old, my 3-year-old, or anybody out there who's listening is right now 3-year-old. And the people, if you see the celebrities who are out there protesting and talking about all this stuff, don't really have children. I mean, they're all about animal rights and animal cruelty, and I agree with that.
But this topic isn't that if you are for animals, you're against.
Right.
It's not one or the other.
Correct. Agreed.
You could be the greatest animal lover on planet Earth. The
Correct.
moment you choose the gorilla over the 3-year-old, you don't belong on planet Earth.
Exactly. I mean, monkey business is monkey business, and I agree that I don't think that these people should even open their mouths. I mean, I think that they're blowing this completely out of proportion, and I think that this needs to stop, and we just need to realize that there was a 3-year-old who was saved, and we're sorry for the gorilla. We're sorry for the gorilla's family. We're sorry for the fact that it's no longer with us. But I have to tell you, I would much rather have my 3-year-old alive today than not.
I'm going to ask you a question that, if you've been hearing me on the radio here for some time, Todd, you've known me for a long time.
Yes.
I'm never, ever play this card ever. I never think this way. My mind just doesn't go to where it's about to go.
Okay.
It never does.
Okay.
In fact, people that go here where I'm about to go, I typically dislike them to a large degree. I typically have very little tolerance for people that go where I'm about to go.
Well, I'm really interested because you typically don't like a lot of people.
This was a black child.
Right.
This little kid.
Right.
Does that have anything to do with people choosing the gorilla over this child? And look, like I said,
I hope the heck not.
People that play the race card like this, I can't stand it. Okay,
I think it's BS. The biggest. It's BS.
Total BS. Just excuse, just crap. Okay, it clouds a lot of crap.
Right.
Okay.
So they're
even
saying
going back to
they're saying a black baby is worth less than a 17-year-old gorilla. They're playing the damn race card.
I'm reaching for straws because I'm not sure what else would possibly lead people to preferring a gorilla over the absolute safety, right? I mean, now let's keep in mind, no one was saying, hey, let's kill the kid and keep the gorilla.
Right.
No one's saying that.
Right, of course not.
But people are playing with the kid's life when they're wanting to not save the kid's life with certainty.
Right.
And I can't help but wonder, would it be different if that was a little white child? Would it be different or wouldn't it be different? I don't know. I do know I don't like going here. I hate myself for thinking this way.
I've never even heard you go this direction. Wow.
But this is just so ugly in my mind that I'm reaching for straws, like I said, and I wonder if this has anything to do with people taking the position of, let's, poor gorilla and this child would have been okay type of thing.
I don't want to go there because a child's a child. What I want to go back to,
of course, that's the whole point here. I hope that's not at play, but I fear that it might be.
What I want to go back to right now is I want to go back to the giveaway because we're giving something away and we don't have a lot of time before we go to break. So what are we giving away this week, Dan?
Listen, we're going to do a room by room analysis. Have you had yours done? Okay, here's the offer. You can have listing specialists from the #1 team in San Diego County year to date by production. This is per MLS statistics. You can have the #1 team, their listing specialists, come to your house, and if you're thinking of selling in the next 12 months, you could get a room-by-room analysis. You can't sell your home and maximize its value without a room-by-room analysis. No one does this.
What's a room-by-room analysis anyway?
It is every inch of your home covered, a plan made for it to prepare your property for maximum presentation value. Okay, you need to go far beyond what everyone else out there does with just getting comps and then selling their home. You need an equity analysis and a room by room. Get yours, but we can only do 5 because they do require our personal time investment. The number's 800-676-2420. 800-676-2420. That number's also good if you want to talk to Todd at his team, HomeStreet Bank, for a refinance or a purchase. We're going to be coming right back with you and talking market here locally in San Diego. We're back with you, San Diego. It is Real Estate Exposed. Oh, my goodness. What are you playing here, Mike?
He's playing Britney for you, Dan.
These guys are teasing me during the break that I like Britney Spears, which, by the way, and for the record, I do not never have heard her on purpose, only when being forced to, just like I was now. And I'm sorry you were forced to. So we're back here on Real Estate Exposed. Daniel Beer Group and Todd Pianin, Taisha Lindsay, HomeStreet Bank.
Yes. It's a great Sunday. We're so happy to be here with you. And I'm going to now start asking the man, the myth, the legend, Dan Beer, who is the number one real estate agent or team in the county right now. Year to date.
Per
MLS. I'm going to start asking him the questions that you all want to ask him, which is, what the heck's going on with the market, Dan? It seems to have like slowed down a little bit. I mean, what's going on?
Look, we've been talking about this slow shift that we're making into the next market cycle,
right?
And it's underway. It's definitely underway.
We're in the summertime. This is supposed to be this is supposed to be the season of selling. This is supposed to be the busy time. This is supposed to be when all these realtors sell their 3 homes for the whole year.
So, yeah, we are in the summer, and look, a lot of the market is still very busy. Okay,
right.
So if you ask somebody that's working the core kind of median price point market, especially anywhere, say, west of the 15, it's hot. Okay?
Right.
Things are still moving very quickly. But we get our first signs not from that part of the market, but rather from the inland luxury market. And we see inventory numbers growing. We see price reductions becoming more common. Right. We see days on market growing. And I've been talking to people up at, in different markets. I've been talking to people, and I just called my buddy Greg Geilman, one of the best agents in the Manhattan Beach market, and he's telling me, I see the same thing right now. This is him talking. He's right. telling me that he sees, their first price reductions have just started to come through. He sees market time starting to extend a little bit. He sees a buyer that's demanding more. A buyer that is making, they're not getting, 7 offers on every property. Now they're only getting 2 offers on every property. So it's not that anyone has fallen off a cliff. And by the way, it's not that we think that a cliff even will present itself. We don't think so at all. But we do think we're heading into the very early stages of a market shift that could be as potentially light as 2 to 3%. I mean, right. It could very well be just virtually nothing. And frankly, I have a hard time imagining it any heavier than 10%.
Right.
And there's going to be some market specificity to that, in that, if you have a $3 million home in town, you might be looking at closer to 10%. And if you have a $400,000 home, you might be looking at closer to 2%, 3%.
Are you seeing marketing times increase?
We're definitely seeing that in the inland luxury markets. Okay, we're seeing expired listings on a daily basis.
Wow.
We're seeing price reductions happening. We're seeing, and heavy ones. I mean, we're seeing some price reductions by $200,000-$300,000.
Okay.
Okay, but I'm talking inland luxury.
Right.
Like,
when you say inland luxury, what's the price point?
$2-3 million.
Got it.
Roughly in that price range, $2-3 million.
Did that market ever pick up though, Dan? I mean, did that market ever kind of rebound? And did we see? I mean, I'm just asking as a pure spectator.
Absolutely. You go back a year ago, and I mean, there were sales happening consistently in those markets. Okay, consistently. Right now, things are just slowing down. Does it mean that sales aren't happening? No, not at all. They're still happening. But please understand that every market has cycles.
Right.
Every market, and they always will. And humans, the problem with us people is that we tend to think that life, we tend to think that life will never return to what it once was, or that the laws of the economy
won't repeat itself, right?
Like that, suddenly we're into some kind of new era,
right?
Right. I mean, think about it. Let's get off real estate and think oil. Oil went to, whatever it was, $28 a barrel or whatever it might have been.
Right. It's trading in the 40s now.
Yeah,
right.
it's gotten close to touching 50.
Well, look at the gold. Gold almost up to $1,800 an ounce.
People thought it would never come down. Well, of course it did.
Got to $900 an ounce, and now it's back up to $1,200.
Yeah. In 2010, 2011, real estate was horribly down. Well, people thought it would never come back up. Of course it did.
Right.
Okay, it will always have these cycles. And we're entering the very early stages of the next cycle. We've had a great run up, and we're seeing it. I mean, we're not seeing it because I woke up with a feeling. We're seeing it because we are noticing longer days on market, price reductions. We're seeing expired listings when we weren't seeing them previously. We're seeing, even the bread and butter home that might have had 5 offers is getting 2. Even, we're just seeing a little bit more of a careful buyer. And what you want to do isn't behave like somebody in this part of the cycle. Okay, what you actually want to do is start behaving as if we're already in the next phase of the cycle. Because if you behave like we're already in the next phase of the cycle,
you're actually saying being smart. You're saying when the financial crisis hit, shorting Countrywide when it was $20 a share and it going to zero, like you're actually trying to get ahead of the curve is what you're telling our listeners.
And I'm not even saying you have to be, that shrewd, like just go short Countrywide, right? But when you behave in the present, you're doing what everybody else is doing. You're losing money when everybody else is losing money, and you're making money when everybody else is making money. But you can't ever outperform because you're just part of the wave.
Right.
If you behave as if we're already in the next phase of any given cycle, okay? Like, so when you're already when you're peaking, when you're in the high part of a cycle, look, keep something in mind. Are we peaking right now? Maybe we're not. Maybe we're peaking a month from now or 2 months from now, or it was 2 months ago.
Right.
But we know we're in the upper echelon of it, okay? We know we're in the upper phase of the cycle. Well, if you start behaving like you're already into the next cycle where we're transitioning down, and you start to do certain things such as refinance into today's rates.
Right.
Okay, you start thinking about, what am I going to do with my home? Am I keeping it for X amount of years through this cycle, or should I transition now into my long-term property?
Right.
Okay, but I definitely don't want to be caught in the wash. When you're thinking about those things, when you're raising cash for investments that are going to be available 2 years from now, 3 years from now, when you're doing those things, you're going to be well ahead.
So Dan, can I ask you, when you go on a listing presentation and this gets brought up, I mean, I'm assuming you talk to your clients about this when you're sitting down across the table from them, and they say, well, my neighbor just sold for $950,000. I mean, how does that discussion go?
So it depends on what kind of home they have. Okay, if you have a $3 million home inland,
right?
Okay, I'm talking inland, not on the beach. The beach isn't feeling it yet, and they will feel it here within within the next 12 months. Let's call it within the next 6 to 12 months.
Right.
But if you have a $3 million home inland, see what happens is that part of the market has definitely already stepped into this next phase.
Right.
And so the buyer is looking for a better deal.
Right.
When you're priced the same as everybody else, you basically don't exist. All of a sudden, one of your neighbors reduces, gets ahead of the market.
Right.
And sells. Well, now that's where the next buyer wants to buy, right? Now that's where the next buyer's looking. And so what happens is you eventually have all those other homes you're competing with, they all start reducing their price. That's why you see price reductions come into play.
Right.
And now everybody's reduced to where that other home sold. But now everybody continues to be irrelevant. Because if you think about it, everyone's now lumped in together. There is no best value for the next buyer. So until one of your other sellers that you're competing with, kind of gives in and drops. And then everybody chases that down, so on and so on.
So does a 5-day blitz work well in this type of environment?
Oh, it's great. It's actually more important than it's ever been.
Right. I mean, the 5-day blitz is something you do, and it's trademarked. And if you come to one of our home selling seminars or listen to the show, you'll know that Dan will talk to you about his 5-day blitz, which is trademarked. And
it's now more important than ever, though, because it allows you full market participation. It differentiates the home and makes price a reason why why the market shows up to participate. But look, you very well might have an incredible property that really, once you're in the home, you understand why you'd want to step up and why it is worth more.
Right.
Because some homes are worth more.
Exactly.
But you need to have people there to find out. And as the market continues to shift, they're first wanting to validate it on paper, then they'll come find out. And if paper doesn't validate it, you don't get them. You don't get them there.
Got it.
The number to connect with us is 800-676-2420. 800-676-2420.
Let's talk about the giveaway, Dan.
Well, we're doing a room by room. Okay, if you're starting to get ready for your next home sale, think about this. Have you had a room by room analysis done for your home? You need to get a room by room, and if you haven't, we're gonna do one for free, but we're only doing 5 of them because they take up our time. Okay, so our listing specialist will actually come out and do a room by room for you for free if you're thinking about selling in the next 12 months. Call 800-676-2420. A room by room is an inch by inch walkthrough of your home with an action list and plan for what needs to be done to maximize the presentation and therefore the value of your property, especially as competition gets stiffer and stiffer moving into this next market cycle. That number's 800-676-2420. And, of course, you can call that same number if you're keeping your home and prefer to refinance, or you're making that next purchase. You can then connect with Todd for mortgage information. We're going to be right back with you here next on News Radio 600 KOGO, Daniel Beer and Todd Pianin.
Welcome back to this beautiful Sunday morning we're spending with you. We appreciate your time. And I'm Todd Pianin from HomeStreet Bank, member of the FDIC, equal housing lender, NMLS ID number 304014. I'm going to get out of the way now. And my co-host, the top producing agent in the county right now, year to date, ranked in the MLS, Daniel Beer, who's part of the Daniel Beer Group. And Dan, you pulled some interesting statistics that this morning about, I thought that short sales and REOs were kind of a thing of the past, and you're pulling up some weird numbers I'm seeing.
Well, we're seeing that, as we start moving into the shift, we want to take a look, and we're going to start tracking these week to week, right? Is there any sign of distressed properties entering the marketplace? And keep something in mind, okay, please. There always have been, always will be, okay? So even at the healthiest point in any market, there is some distressed sale still always. But, right now, 55 bank-owned properties on the market in San Diego County. It's actually not a big number.
Right.
Okay, it might sound like a big number, but it's truly not. It's a very manageable, it's a low number. You do, however, have 430 short sales on the market as we speak.
How do you have 430 short sales?
430 short sales on the market in San Diego County right now. So it'll be interesting to track these week over week. Okay, we're going to start tracking these week over week. We'll report, are we moving, are we seeing more, are we seeing less? Okay. We want Real Estate Exposed, okay, you listening to our show, we want you to be ahead of the market, right? There would have been so much to profit from had you had the right information going into the last market cycle. There was a lot of money left on the table by those that didn't have their unfair share of information. We're going to make sure you do. And so we're going to track these numbers for you week over week and see if we're trending up.
Okay, so let's talk about this.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make a bet with you because you still haven't paid on the last Super Bowl bet. But what's your prediction? Are they going to trend up or are they going to trend down?
Well, I think you're going to see a very slow trend up.
Short sales and REOs.
Short sale and REO, I think you're going to see a very slow trend up. Now, I want to continue to say what I'm about to say as often as I can say it because none of this has anything to do with instilling fear in anybody.
Right.
We are not.
We're not
at all
in the financial crisis that we were in.
No.
Yeah.
We're not headed to where we were in 08 and 09 and 2010. Right. We're not going there. We're not predicting we're going there, okay? But you're
saying there's going to be short sales, Dan. So, I mean, to me, short sales mean that people are over-leveraged in their properties when you got interest rates as low as they are. And like I've always talked about, we've got the best vintage of buyers in the marketplace or best vintage of people who who have bought, right, who can afford their homes. So are you saying that this is latency? These are people that didn't like
the majority of them have old loans. There's still loans that are resetting.
Right.
There's still loans that are especially as we head into higher interest rates that are right now floating in their variable in their variable rate stage.
Right.
These are people that, well, as you know, look, I mean, on a monthly basis, you're refinancing people that have 5-6% interest loans.
We just got a call from a client that we did his loan 10 years ago.
Yeah,
he's a 30-year fix is 6.5%.
At 6.5%. See, so this is what I'm talking about. So when you have,
he has tons of equity, so he's
that's
fine.
where I think most of them will come from.
Right.
But in any market, short sales have always existed. They just got famous in this last cycle because they became the predominant. The predominant type of sale.
Right.
That and REOs, bank-owned properties.
Right.
They became the predominant sale. Now, they've always, however, existed. They were just much more in the background. And by the way, the good news here is we definitely predict and think and believe they will continue to be in the background.
Right.
Their background position simply will just grow a little bit.
Got it.
But we're going to watch that as a indicator of where are we going here? And we're going to try to get you as much information so that you can position yourself as advantageously as possible for this next cycle.
Can we get information like what price points they're in?
Yeah, we'd have that for you the next time. Yeah. But I know that we saw these REOs anywhere from in the $3 million range down to the $150,000, $200,000 range, but literally all across the board.
Got it.
Okay, the majority of them, though, definitely are under $800,000.
Got it.
Okay, the grand majority.
Okay.
So you're listening to Real Estate Exposed. Unfortunately, we're running out of time, but we would love to put a plan in place together for you. You need to have your plan here for this next market cycle. Are you buying a home and locking in today's rate and then riding through any temporary dip? That's what my brother just did.
Yep.
Smartly so. Are you going to keep your home through the cycle, in which case you really want to be looking at a refinance, or should you be selling right now? Give us a call. Get your room-by-room analysis. The number to connect with Todd Pianin or myself, Daniel Beer, is 800-676-2420. That's 800-676-2420. It's been great being with you here Sunday morning.
Have a great weekend.